Good day, everyone. Welcome to our class, English 118, the Survey of English American Literature. This is Maureen Vargas Abella, your first reporter. Today, we will tackle about one of the greatest poems in English literature. The title is How Do I Love Thee by Elizabeth Barrett Browning. First, we will discuss about the background of the literary piece.
How Do I Love Thee was first published in the collection Sonnets from Portuguese in 1850, which Elizabeth Barrett Browning dedicated to her husband, the poet Robert Browning.
The poem is a conventional Petrarchan sonnet that lists the different ways in which the poet loves her husband. It follows in a tradition of sonnet writing that reaches back to the poetry of the Renaissance period, showing affection for one's beloved whilst also displaying one's own poetic skills. Barrett Browning spent most of her adult life as an invalid, ruled over by a tyrannical father who forbade his sons and daughters to get married. She married Robert Browning in 1846 after a courtship that must have to be secret. Despite her poor health, Barrett Browning was renowned during her lifetime for her intelligence and open-mindedness. How Do I Love Thee is her most famous poem, reproduced in countless anthologies of love poetry. Comes next is the significance of the literary piece. The poem How Do I Love Thee is important because it expresses the poet's intense love for her husband-to-be, Robert Browning. Her intense love for him rises to the spiritual level. She loves him freely, without coercion. She loves him purely, without expectation of personal gain. It is one of the most famous and recognizable poems in the English language. The social significance of the poem is the belief that love transcends death. Intense love is eternal, that when you love purely, you expect to continue to love even after death. The speaker begins closure of the poem when she hopes to be able to achieve an even greater love after death. Now, let's proceed to the background of the author. Born in 1806 at Coxhoe Hall, Durham, England, Elizabeth Barrett Browning was a celebrated English poet of the Romantic movement. How Do I Love Thee, or Sonnet 43, is one of Browning's most famous poems. She is a renowned Victorian poet who managed to achieve acclaim in her lifetime. She went on to influence many British and American poets, particularly Emily Dickinson. A prolific writer, Elizabeth Barrett Browning's poem came to the attention of another famous poet of that time named Robert Browning. The two poets eventually married but were forced to wed secretly because of Barrett Browning's father. He found out about the nuptials and disinherited his daughter. Barrett Browning and her husband moved to Italy, and both encouraged the other with their writings. She died in Italy at the age of 55.
How Do I Love Thee by Elizabeth Barrett Browning. How do I love thee? Let me count the ways. I love thee to the depth and breadth and height my soul can reach, when feeling out of sight for the ends of being and ideal grace. I love thee to the level of every day's most quiet need, by sun and candlelight. I love thee freely as men strive for right. I love thee purely as they turn from praise. I love thee with the passion put to use in my old griefs and with my childhood's faith. I love thee with a love I seem to lose with my lost saints. I love thee with the breath, smiles, tears of all my life. And if God choose, I shall but love thee better after death.
Good day, everyone. I am Lillian D. of the Acutillar, your presenter for today. And today I will continue the discussion about the literary piece entitled How Do I Love Thee? How Do I Love Thee? Based on the title itself and the first line that talks about that the poet dictates the poem to answering her own questions and expresses the way she feels to a person. The handouts were given his own discussion, which explaining each line of the literary piece. In this literary piece, written by Elizabeth Barrett Browning, this story talks about how the speaker is proclaiming her unending passion for her beloved. She tells her lover just how deeply her love goes freely and purely. And she also tells him how she loves him without thinking any possibilities in doubt. She loves him with all of her beings, and she hopes God will grant her the ability to love him even after she has passed. Her world revolves around the love of her life, and she insists that even death can separate her from her lover. How Do I Love Thee is undoubtedly a simple poem with a deep hidden meaning. Love is eternal, inconquerable, and the most powerful in this world. No one can dictate her in what to do, and it is her willingness to show what she feels. And also, someone must not be pretend that they are morally and ethically good. It is her choice and no one can stop her. The themes. Browning engages with themes of love, devotion, and relationships in Sonnet 43. From the first lines, it's clear that this is going to be a love poem. She addresses her listeners, likely her husband Robert Browning, and tells him that there are many reasons why she loves him and that she's going to list them out. As the poem progresses, the language becomes more figurative, with the poet making various nature-based comparison in order to depict her love accurately and movingly. That comes into the poem at the end, as the speaker talks about the length and the durability of the relationship. She hopes that God will allow her to love her partner even that. It becomes clear at the end that her love is a spiritual one as much as it is a romantic one. That's all about our report for today. Thank you for listening, and by the way, we will leave our lessons for this literary piece.
That's my shit, that's my wave. Do like that, then I repay.